The last time the public will hear anything real about the Siders case is right now. After the grand jury convenes, the door closes. I want you to feel that in your chest for a second. Not tomorrow, not next month, right now. This weekend, July 25th through July 27th, is very likely the last window where the public gets to see clearly into this case before a grand jury sits down in a locked room and starts working in secret. If you have been following this story since the raid, if you have been reading every article and watching every update, this next stretch is going to feel very different. The news is going to slow down. The headlines are going to get shorter. Reporters are going to run out of things to say. And that is not because there is nothing happening. It is because everything that is happening will be behind a closed door. Let me walk you through what a grand jury actually is, because this is the piece that most true crime channels skip past too fast. A grand jury is not the same as the jury you see in a trial. A trial jury is 12 people who sit in an open courtroom and listen to both sides of a case. A grand jury is different. A grand jury is a group of citizens, usually between 9 and 15 people in Ohio, who sit in a private room and listen to only one side, the state's side. They hear the prosecutor. They hear witnesses the prosecutor calls. They look at evidence the prosecutor shows them, and then they decide, based on that one-sided view, whether there is enough evidence to bring formal charges against a defendant. If they say yes, the case moves forward to trial. That yes comes in the form of a piece of paper called an indictment. If they say no, the case gets dismissed. Most of the time they say yes. Prosecutors do not usually take weak cases to a grand jury. They save the grand jury for cases they are already pretty sure they can win. Now here's the important part. Everything that happens inside a grand jury room is secret. I want you to understand what secret really means in this context. It does not just mean private. It does not just mean the reporters cannot go in. It means it is a crime in Ohio to disclose what happens inside that room. The grand jurors cannot talk about it. The witnesses cannot talk about it. The prosecutor is restricted in what they can say. Not even the defendant is allowed inside during the presentation. That is a real wall, not a curtain, not a screen, a real wall. And when a grand jury sits down to review the Siders case, that wall goes up. Now let me tell you how we know this is coming. NBC4 in Ohio did a careful read of the July 23rd gag order over the weekend, the one Judge Featherolf Rogers signed for Christina Siders. Buried inside the language of that order was a phrase that legal analysts have been chewing on for 2 days. The order describes the grand jury as coming in days or weeks, not months, not sometime. Days or weeks, that is fresh. That is the piece of information that changed the temperature of this case over the weekend. Because up until now, most reporters were assuming the grand jury might be months away. New charges take time to line up, evidence takes time to package, prosecutors like to be careful, but days or weeks is not careful. Days or weeks is fast. Days or weeks is the sound of a state that already knows what it wants to charge and is just waiting for the paperwork to catch up. As of the moment I am recording this, on July 27th, no indictment has been returned. But that could change on any weekday between now and mid-August. It could change on a Tuesday morning. It could change on a Friday afternoon. There will be no warning, just a filing on the docket that says the grand jury has spoken. When that happens, the whole case shifts. Let me tell you what could be added. Right now, the 4 Siders adults are facing 16 counts of child endangerment, 1 count for each child. That is the current charge sheet. But a grand jury can add much more. They could add kidnapping charges. If the evidence shows children were confined against their will, that becomes kidnapping under Ohio law. They could add rape charges. Grand juries in cases like this one regularly return sexual assault indictments once physical evidence has been reviewed. They could add gross sexual imposition. That is Ohio's charge for sexual contact with a minor that does not meet the full definition of rape, but is still a serious felony. They could add felonious assault. Any lasting physical injury to a child can trigger this charge. They could add involuntary manslaughter. That would be the most serious possible new charge. It would come if the state believes any child in that household died as a result of the conditions inside the home. Each of those charges carries a different sentence. Each one has different rules, and each one changes the tone of the whole case. The state does not have to prove any of these yet. They just have to convince a grand jury that there is enough evidence to move forward. And in Ohio, that bar is not very high. It is called probable cause. It means, more likely than not, A crime was committed, and this person committed it. That is a lower standard than beyond a reasonable doubt, which is what a trial jury requires. So expect the indictment when it comes to be big, maybe much bigger than the current 16 counts. Now let me talk about the three walls. I want you to imagine a room, not a big room, a small one, like a room in a small county courthouse in Ohio. There's a single door, and around that door, three walls are being built at the same time. The first wall is the sealed search warrants. Those are the papers that describe what law enforcement was allowed to look for and what they were allowed to seize when they entered that Omer Street house on June 30th. Right now, those warrants are sealed. The public cannot see them. Only the lawyers involved can see them, and only under strict rules. The second wall is the gag orders, the one from July 14th on Gary Jr.'s side, the one from July 23rd on Christina's side. Those orders silence the lawyers, the staff, the investigators, the expert witnesses, and anyone acting as an agent or representative of the defense. That is a very wide silence. The third wall is the grand jury, the one that is coming in days or weeks. Once that grand jury sits down, everything inside its room becomes secret by law. Three walls, one case, and in the middle of them, 16 children who are counting on the courts to get this right. I want to say something now about why weekend timing matters. This weekend, July 25th through July 27th, we are still in a window where reporters can piece together what is happening. They can read the July 23rd gag order, they can read the sealed warrant motions, they can talk to legal analysts, they can compare dockets, they can ask questions in public. Once the grand jury convenes, that window closes. For weeks, maybe months, there will be no new updates from the courthouse itself. The only news will come from occasional filings, from bond hearings, from procedural motions. But the meat of the case, the evidence, the witness testimony, the state's real strategy, all of it will be behind those three walls. Some viewers will find that frustrating. They want daily updates, they want new photos, they want new leaks. They will be disappointed because what is coming is not more news. What is coming is more silence. And silence in a case this size is not empty. It is loaded. It means the state is working. It means grand jurors are voting. It means witnesses are being prepared. It means new evidence is being processed. All of that is happening. You just cannot see it. Now, I want to give you something useful, something you can actually do during the quiet stretch. Read the docket. The Vinton County Court docket is public. You can look up the Siders case by name and see every filing that comes in. Not the contents of the filings, not the sealed motions, but the titles, the dates, the names of who filed what. That is the trail you can follow in the quiet. Every new filing tells you something. A discovery motion means the defense is preparing. A continuance means the state is stalling for something. A sealed motion means somebody just did something significant they did not want in public. You do not need to be a lawyer to read a docket. You just need patience. Here is another thing you can do. Watch for a change in Judge Featherolf Rogers' schedule. If she suddenly clears her calendar for a week, that is a sign an indictment is coming and she is making time for the arraignment hearings. Judges do not clear their calendars for no reason. Small signs, quiet clues, that is what the next stretch is going to be made of. Let me close with a hard truth. It is one older adults understand better than younger viewers in my experience. Justice is slow. It has always been slow. It is supposed to be slow because when justice moves fast, it makes mistakes. It punishes the wrong people. It misses the guilty ones. It ruins innocent lives. Slow is not a bug. Slow is a feature. Slow is what protects everybody, including you, if you were ever accused of something you did not do. The Siders case is about to enter its slow phase. Do not confuse slow with dead. It is not dead. It is working just quietly. When you can't see what a court is doing, that's exactly when you're supposed to be watching. Watch the docket, watch the schedule, watch the filings, watch the news for that one small line that says an indictment has been returned. When that line appears, come back here, because that is when the next chapter opens. Until then, take care of yourself. Take care of the children in your life. Do not let the silence make you forget those 16 kids on Omer Street. They are still out there in foster homes and shelters and safe places. They are still waiting for the courts to give them what they are owed. And the least we can do in the quiet stretch is remember that they are the reason for all of this. Thank you for watching. Thank you for staying informed. Thank you for caring about the details. I will see you when the door reopens. Take care. I want to add one more small thing before I let you go tonight. When a grand jury in Ohio is preparing to hear a case this size, the prosecutors have to organize thousands of pages of paperwork. Witness statements, forensic reports, photographs, medical records, interview transcripts. Every piece has to be labeled, cross-referenced, and ready to be presented in a way that a group of ordinary citizens can follow. That takes time. Even for a fast-moving office, it takes weeks. So when the July 23rd gag order used the phrase days or weeks about the grand jury, the state was signaling that most of that packaging work is already done. The witness list is set, the exhibits are labeled, the medical reports have been prepared, everything is loaded and waiting. That is another reason the phrase days or weeks matters. It is not just a schedule note, it is a tell. It is the state quietly saying, we are ready. When the state is quietly ready, the door closes fast. Watch for it, keep your eyes on the docket, and when the indictment lands, we will meet back here to break it down together, one count at a time. Take care of yourself. Take care of the children in your life. And thank you for staying awake with me through the slow part of this story. It matters more than you know. I want to give you one more small thing to hold before I sign off. Grand jury proceedings in Ohio typically last 1 to 3 days for a case of this size. That is short. That is fast. That is the state saying, we know what we want and we do not want to give the defense a chance to interrupt. When the grand jury finishes, the indictment is filed on a specific day in the county clerk's office and the docket updates within hours. That is your signal. The next time you check the Vinton County docket, look for a new filing under the case name that says indictment or true bill. When you see it, that is the moment the wall comes down for a single afternoon. Reporters will get a copy, charges will be listed, names will be attached to counts, then the wall goes back up. And we begin the long march toward trial. That is the rhythm of every big case. Loud arrest, quiet build, loud indictment, quiet preparation, loud trial, quiet appeals. We are between the loud arrest and the loud indictment right now. Enjoy the last few days of clear public information. They will not last. Take care. See you when the wall drops for a moment.